Hey everybody, welcome back to Radio KBE. Just wanted to say thanks to everybody who subscribed so far. We hit 100 subscribers. It's pretty awesome. I didn't expect it to happen that fast, but I appreciate your support. It looks like you guys really enjoy the YouTube stuff, so I'm going to try and do it as much as I possibly can. Probably won't be daily, but when there's relevant stuff to talk about as relates to the Lakers, I definitely will try and get some stuff out there. So again, if you haven't already, just like, subscribe, helps the channel go further, rank better in the YouTube algorithms, and if nothing else, I can do other stuff with it, like live post games and chats and stuff like that. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, so I appreciate the folks that have done it so far. So for this video, it's going to be a little bit shorter. It's not going to be very long, but I just wanted to sort of touch on the topic of LeBron's tenure here with the Lakers. He obviously things haven't gone well for him or the Lakers the past two seasons, with him getting hurt, Anthony Davis getting hurt, and the Lakers falling short. And there's been a lot of conversation about just kind of what LeBron's going to do. And obviously, he had things that he said during the trade deadline that raised a lot of eyebrows, and Clutch and Rich Paul and everybody sat down and talked about it with Jeannie and Rob. And obviously, there's stuff that's going on with the front office. But for this video, I just want to focus on, the question of, would LeBron leave? And for me, I think I just separate this out into two different things. One is he wants to win a championship. And mind you, LeBron has already said towards the end of the season he wants to remain a Laker. He wants to win another championship as a Laker. He said so as much in the exit interview. So it's all the messaging that's come from him. And you guys can see in the little background picture of one of the last few games of the season, like, he's wearing Lakers stuff. He wants to be everything he's doing body language wise and things that he's saying makes it pretty clear that he wants to remain a Laker. But he has said that he wants to play with his son, and wherever his son goes, he wants to get a chance to play there. So we don't know necessarily how it is. And then, recently he did a Twitter Q&A where he talked about how long he would play for, and he more or less just said he would play until he feels good. He'd play until he physically couldn't. It's easy to say that on Twitter, but I'm sure things are fluid with him when it comes to that sort of thing. So before we get into the two things that I think that he's probably looking at it by, and maybe the way that Laker fans should treat it is, he has 1 year left, and he's going to be eligible for a 2-year extension. And he may just take a 1+1, or he may take the 2 years. It's a 2-year, $95 million extension. And, to be honest, that's a lot of money. LeBron historically has been a guy who's not just going to say no to money for no reason. He doesn't take pay cuts, that sort of thing. That's a pretty big reason for him to stay with the Lakers, because the amount of money that he would be getting is much more than what he would probably get if he just signed in free agency with Cleveland or just any team that has cap space. And so I think the financial incentive for LeBron is just common sense. It's there. I don't think he would pass up $100 million. And then the other thing is, he doesn't need the financial security. But at the same time, it's if the Lakers if he says, I want to stay here for 2 more years, or I'll take a 1+1, and then, I'll decide what I want to do during my player option. And then maybe that's where he decides, if he wants to continue playing, he wants to go play with his son, whatever it may be, he can do that. At least he locks himself into a position where he's more or less guaranteed $100 million, rounding up. And so from a financial perspective, it just makes too much sense for him to stay there, or stay with the Lakers and take the extension. Whether it's just a +1 or if it's a 1+1, that's the thing that I don't know. But it seems to make sense that he would take that extension from a financial perspective. So that sort of brings us to the second part of it, which is, does he get along with the front office, and how important is a championship? And I think he gets along with the front office fine. I think the way he goes about talking about changes that need to be made are indirect, and sometimes they're direct, but sometimes they're indirect, similar to the stuff they said during the trade deadline about Sam Presti and possibly going back to Cleveland. I think that's the way he does it. A a lot of people chalk it up to him being passive aggressive, which I think it's, you could say that. I guess the other thing we could also say is he's not aggressive aggressive. This is the Lakers, it's not Cleveland, and so brand perception, all that kind of stuff might be important to him. It's important to the Lakers that everybody's sort of on the same page, and we know that from Jeannie's interview with the LA Times with Bill Plaschke, that one of the themes that she keeps bringing up over and over again is that she wants to make sure she takes care of LeBron and that LeBron is happy. And if what will make LeBron happy, aside from financial security, is that the Lakers are competing, then the Lakers are going to do what it takes to get him there, no matter what his health situation is. And that's also part of the financial security part. Like if he gets hurt, like I said, not that he needs the money, but like he has financial security that he doesn't have to worry about taking a +1, then he gets hurt, and then something. It's something, knock on wood, it's not something catastrophic. He doesn't have to worry about that sort of situation financially. So I think the Lakers do want to be competitive, and I think he is in line with the Lakers in regard to that. I think the ownership has told him that that's very consistent. I know there's been talk about. If they keep Russ, I know fans have a certain feeling about, oh, well, if we keep Russ, then we have no shot at a championship, and we can debate that another time. There's different directions they can go with Russ's contract and ways to improve this team that I'll cover in a different video. But, going after Russ was something that, it is something that LeBron wanted. He doesn't get calls at the rim the way he did before. There has been a little bit of a decline because of the ankle injuries, the groin injury, in regards to his athleticism. And so because of that, lesser players are able to keep up with them, but they're still fouling him and he's not getting calls. So having a guy like Russ be a playmaker for him is a big deal. One of the things that was good for the Lakers, or like a positive thing, was that even though Russ didn't have a great season, LeBron's shot quality was amazing, and you could tell that him not having to carry the playmaking workload made a big difference to him. And like I said, it wasn't a perfect fit. It may not be a perfect fit moving forward, but it is something that was done to try and help him sort of alleviate some of the workload and burden that, and that's something that the Lakers have to do moving forward. Aside from competing, they have to be mindful of keeping LeBron healthy throughout the course of the season. Obviously, Anthony Davis being healthy is a big part of that too as well. And so I think from a financial standpoint, it makes sense. I think from being in line with the front office, it makes sense. And then I think that the last thing is just this conversation about like legacy with LeBron. Like at this point, like he's won 4 championships with 3 teams, which I don't think anybody's ever done before, as like the lead dog. He's done it for one of the worst franchises in the history of the NBA, in the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's done it with the Miami Heat, which are an iconic franchise to some degree in their own right. And then obviously he did it with the Lakers in one of the most emotional seasons that not just Laker fans probably felt, but the entire NBA felt. So when we think about it from like a legacy standpoint, does he have the right to leave? Does he want to leave? Of course, he can always do that. He can go wherever he wants. He left Cleveland and they burned his jerseys. He went to Miami and then he came back and they welcomed him with open arms. So I don't think there's anything holding LeBron to LA other than maybe his family and stuff like that. But, for all we know, he could be okay with leaving LA and going and chasing championships. But just kind of zooming out from a legacy standpoint, like I even if he wins another championship, I don't know how much more it's doing for his legacy. And I think that is something that he probably kind of looks at too at the same time. Like, all right, if I go to another team and maybe have a shot at a championship, maybe not have a shot at a championship, like what does that do for him? And we have to remember he's on the cusp of breaking Kareem's scoring record, which is a huge deal, which I would think would be an even bigger deal doing it in the Laker jersey. So, there's always going to be speculation on whether he's going to leave. And I think a lot of national media has always tried to get ahead of it. And they've always tried to, the people that don't like LeBron, it's a phenomenon they like to do. They'll try and speak his eventual decline into existence. And LeBron does a great job taking care of his body and being aware of what he needs to do to help a team win in different manners. So um, I don't think legacy wise, I don't think relationship with the front office wise, and I don't think financially. Um, I don't think it makes sense for him to leave. He always has the option, but I think it makes a lot of sense for him to stay with the Lakers, probably up until he decides that he wants to go play with his son. And so I just wanted to share my thoughts on that, and hopefully that sort of brings some clarity and gives some color to everybody else. Uh, like I said, appreciate everybody that subscribed so far, that's been sharing it, retweeting it on Twitter and whatnot. If you haven't already, I appreciate any if you like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends. I'll try and do more content on topics related to the Lakers as they come, and then I'll also do some more deep dives as we get further into the offseason about how we can improve this team. So other than that, I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.